So today we're going to talk about the truth of intermittent fasting, right? And also the benefits that it can do when you're trying to basically reach your body goals, whether that be losing weight or just staying in shape and trying to keep, the shape that you're already in a kind of, easier way, or something that can be pretty simple for anybody to do, right? So we're going to discuss what intermittent fasting is and how that can be a benefit to you when you're trying to, again, lose weight or stay in shape, right? So um, when it comes to losing weight, we all know, or even gaining weight, we should all know that is from basically the calories that you intake and the calories that you burn, right? So when you're trying to lose weight, you have to eat less calories and you have to be more active, right? If you're trying to gain weight, you have to eat more calories than your activity level is, basically, right? That's a pretty much that's the foundation of how to lose weight and how to gain weight, right? So when it comes to the truth about intermittent fasting, there's a lot of people who, you know, don't really tell you how beneficial intermittent fasting is, and what it can actually do for you, and how it can be beneficial to your health, right? So when you intermittent fast, actually, let me actually explain what intermittent fasting is. So it's basically when you have a window of eating. You have an eating window, right? So let's say you wake up and you're at whatever 8 a.m. and you don't eat till you eat between the time periods of 1 and let's say 10. So that is your eating window, and the rest of the time previously before that, you're fasting, right? So you're not eating until 1 p.m., and you can eat between 1 p.m. and 10 p.m., and you can't eat after 10 p.m. So that helps people to control the calories that they are intaking in an easier way than actually counting calories, right? Because let's be honest here, I count calories, but I'm not counting the calories of the actual like meals that I'm eating or ingesting to that degree. It just depends, I kind of already know the calories of the meals off head. I look at, like, if I'm eating some type of quick freezer, food, like maybe like some wings or something like that I bought. Again, the wings I buy, they're non-GMO, so I throw them in the air fryer. I take a look at the calories, and I'm like, then I kind of figure what the calories are for that meal, and then, by asking fries, I look at that, the servings as well. I'm like, okay, this is around 600 calories, right? So you want to make sure that you're keeping an eye on your calorie intake, but not everyone's going to go above and beyond when it comes to monitoring their calories. I don't think that people really even need to. You know what I'm saying? You don't necessarily need to go into the above and beyond where you're weighing out the food that you're eating and things like that. That can be a little tedious and time consuming when you just want to basically just shed that fat, lose that weight. So what we can do is leverage intermittent fasting, right? So, when you wake up, you don't have to eat breakfast. When they tell you breakfast is the most important meal of the day, that is not true, right? You don't have to eat breakfast, because what people do when they eat breakfast is that they consume a decent amount of calories within that breakfast, right? They're eating eggs, which is good for you. They're eating waffles, pancakes, dosing it up with syrup, like, which is basically just dosing it up with sugar. And then they got a muffin. By the time they're finished eating, they done ate like 800 calories already by the time they woke up. Then they got lunch, then they got snacks in between, then they got dinner, and they might go out and eat some more. You just ate 3,000 calories in that time span. So um, basically, in that day or so, basically you're just in that never-ending cycle of just eating, right? So you want to limit that, because the human body, actually, contrary to popular belief, doesn't necessarily need to eat that much. Not really. You go overseas, you see all these other countries, they have a very small serving size. They don't eat that much throughout the day. They eat at particular times of the day, and let's say they do grab a breakfast, it's probably just an apple and maybe like a cup of juice, water, or tea or something that's so minimal that it doesn't affect their calorie intake. So I'm not saying that you cannot eat breakfast or grab a snack. What if you are a person who's heavy set? you need to be more cognizant about what you're doing and go hard and trying to lose that weight. You can't be like, oh, I'm gonna do this and do no. So when it comes to intermittent fasting, let's leverage that and let's not eat until 1 p.m. Me, I actually do 2 p.m. or I've been doing that for the past year and a half. Now I'm kind of eating a little bit earlier because I'm at a certain point where I don't need to do that anymore. I'm eating a little bit earlier. I'm grabbing a yogurt around maybe 12 now. I mean, the yogurt is like 180 calories. You know, that's really nothing. That's very minuscule because, again, my total calorie intake for that day is around 1,800 to 2,000. So I know if I grab a yogurt for 180, I can divide that. I can subtract that for what my calorie intake should be for that day and just map it out accordingly to where, you know, I'm within that same range. So I can keep my shape, keep my figure, and not really gain any weight, you know, primarily. So, but for all of you guys watching, you need to leverage intermittent fasting. If you're trying to get to the shape that you want to get to, and you're trying to do it in a way where you're not thinking about it too much and too restrictive in the calorie intake. So, again, I want you guys to go to 1 p.m. or so, and then, you know, you want to eat like maybe like a 700 calorie lunch meal, right? So if you work, you shouldn't eat anything, right, until lunchtime, pretty much until 1 p.m. or around 2. That should be your first meal of the day. And, you know, you eat your lunch, you know, rice, chicken, fish, anything with protein in it, but you don't want to go too. You don't want to eat too heavy as well. You want to make sure that it's around like a decent calorie range for you, right? So you don't want to eat like 8 slices of pizza, or you don't want to eat like something, or even if you do eat fast food, just make sure that the calories is less. It's around 700 or so, right? So you don't want to go to Whataburger and you're eating the burger and the fries, and it shows you the calories is 1,120. That is already a big bulk of what you can eat. So your next meal for that day or at that time interval should not be really more than like 600. You know. So if you do eat Whataburger, just know that you cannot afford to snack, right? Eat a snack. No, you cannot. And your dinner has to be around like 600, 700 calories, and then that's it. Bedtime. That's it. Every single day. So you need to leverage intermittent fasting because it helps control your blood sugar. So people who have diabetes as well, if they get their diet in check, they can definitely lessen the effects of having diabetes. And they can even pretty much cure that as well just by monitoring their diet and also exercising regularly as well. So yeah, so when you intermittent fast, you choose a time. So let's say, like, I'm talking to you guys again, that's 1 p.m. And then you have an end time too, so 10 p.m. So when it's 10 p.m., right, and you haven't had your last meal, again, if you haven't had your last meal, right, and you feel a little bit like hungry, it's okay, because I know that not everybody's gonna be able to fit into the time schedule, because you may have things you may have to do or whatnot. So you can extend that till around 11, but please don't do it any later than 11:30, because I don't want you eating at 12 p.m. or in the next day, because I want it to be counted towards the same day that you're in, right? So you can extend it to 11:30 for that to be your last meal, and then that's it. You're drinking water, you go to bed, right? That's pretty much it. So between the times of 1 to 10, we'll say that that is your eating window. That's what intermittent fasting is. But you know, that doesn't mean that you should consume a meal every hour in between that. Like, no, because again, you can still make up for those calories in the morning if you just continuously eat, you know. So you want to have a lunch at 1, and you can have a snack, right, like a Nature Valley bar. You can even eat a chocolate bar. If it's within your calorie range, you just want to make sure it's not too much. Maybe like you can eat half of a Snicker. You know, if you got a sweet tooth, you can eat a little bit of M&Ms if you got a sweet tooth. You just don't want to eat the whole pack of anything, right? So if you're looking at a Snicker, you know, and it says like it's 200 calories per serving, eat that one part, you know, and leave the other one for later and just add that into your calorie intake. But I suggest that for people who are getting started into this and trying to lose weight, to eat on the more healthier side of things. So get a Nature Valley bar, eat a rice cake, right? As well as you can eat fruits as well, right? So pineapples, apples, and things like that. You can add that as a snack after your meal, but I know a lot of people have sweet tooth, and I know that it's going to keep them motivated. So try getting a Nature Valley bar, or try eating the yogurt after with your lunch, right? So it doesn't mean it has to just be rice and chicken or rice and fish or whatever, spaghetti in this. No, you can eat that and also have a snack too to keep you satiated, to keep you motivated, and to keep you moving. So then I don't want you to eat anymore, right? After that lunch and that snack you've had, then what I want you to do is, because most people work a 9 to 5, after your shift is done at work, then most people go to the gym. So I want you to go to the gym, right? Maybe you can put a little bit of protein in your water, right? If it fits within that calorie range that you're in, just make sure that you're not going overboard. But you don't really need to, because the lunch you had should be enough protein for you, because again, you're including protein into the lunch that you've eaten. But if you want to add a little bit more protein into your water, you can. What I usually do is, they say 2 scoops is 120 calories. I usually do half of 1 scoop, because I want that to be the most. I don't need that many. I don't want to ingest that many calories for a protein powder. So I do half of 1 scoop, which is probably maybe 60 calories or something like that. So I put that into my water. I drink that to get that a little bit of protein in, like I just ate maybe a piece of chicken or something, for my muscles to be satiated, for them to continue to grow and get the protein that they need when I destroy them in the gym, basically. So then, when you get home, no eating. You can mix protein and water before the gym, and go to the gym, get your workout in. An hour and a half, depending on how you feel. Get that workout in, right? Come home, and by the time you come home, it's gonna be 9:30 or so. Then you can eat your last and final meal. So if you're a little more hungry during your last and final meal, again, it's going to be primarily the same thing that you have for lunch, right? So there shouldn't be anything spectacular. You can eat steak, right? You can eat steak, broccoli, chicken breast, all those type of meals that you usually really eat, to be honest. But just make sure you're eating less of it. You don't want to eat too much of it. You eat, excuse me, you can eat a little bit more than your lunch. If you want an extra scoop of rice, you can. If you want an extra piece of chicken, you can, right? But you don't want to go overboard. You still want to make sure it's kind of equal to your lunch, really, to be honest. It doesn't have to be that much. Again, the human body doesn't need that much in order to continue to fuel itself, right? We eat more than we know anyway. So, especially if you're heavier set, you can definitely lessen your calories a lot and be okay. You know what I'm saying? So, um, after you eat your dinner, right, you can again grab another snack, right? So if you eat in Nature Valley, that's usually around 140 to 160 calories. Again, that adds into your lunch. So if your lunch is around 600, 700 calories, that snack that you're grabbing, right, that's going to be around 800 already, right? So generally speaking, you can kind of go around this without being too hard on yourself, and it can help you it can help you live without always having to be such a calorie counter, if you don't have time for that. But you always need to be cognizant of what you're ingesting into your body and what the calories are for that, right? And even the nutrition for those things that you're eating, correct? So again, by the end of the day, I do want you to be in around a 1600 max 2000 calories per day type of thing. But again, you only really need to eat 2 meals, and they should pretty much equal in the amount of calories that you are eating within those 2 meals. And then you will be good, because generally speaking, most people get 700 calories out of a meal anyway. So if you're eating around 2, and you're eating around maybe 700 to 800 for those 2, you already have 1600 calories, and you have 2 snacks. And by then you're already pretty much at 1800 or so, right? So make sure that you're doing those things, and that's pretty much the benefits of intermittent fasting, and how to intermittent fast is going to help you lose and shred that weight pretty easily, because again, working out is part of it, but also what you eat and how much you eat is a part of it as well. You do not need to eat so much during the day or in the morning when you wake up. You are okay till a little later in the day for you to start eating. You know, that is a myth, and you don't need to eat breakfast. You don't need to do none of that. Okay? So if you feel like eating breakfast, again, grab an apple, grab a yogurt, and make sure that you're not eating a snack for your lunch. So you got to do a replacement. If you grab a yogurt in the morning, make sure that at lunch you ain't eating no snack. That got to be your replacement right there. If you feel like you got to eat something. So hopefully I explained this thing to you guys as best as I could. So you want to intermittent fast, you want to leverage that, look it up as well. I mean, see what time period that you want to do your fasting for. You can start at 12, you can start even later at 3, and it just depends on you and how you want to leverage this, right? And how you feel like you can do it. But generally speaking, I think around 1 to 2 p.m. is generally good for people. It gives you that window and it's not too bad. You start at 1 or 2 and then you end at 10 or 11. Simple, you know? So, I appreciate you guys, again, for coming to this video. And if you have anybody that needs, that has health problems and want to, just get better, they do have to leverage a form of fasting, because that will clear out their system. That will help their body as well.